Hello there, my name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Simply Saturday. Today we're going to be making a card that is a bookbinding card. That's the style or the layout, which we've done a time or two in the past, but of course not this exact card. So we're going to have some fun making a holiday card with this cute reindeer paper from Reindeer Days. And so from my piece of designer series paper, I took my color inspiration. So we've got Pool Party and Real Red and White. We're also going to be using Pecan Pie ink. All right, so my card base is Pool Party, and it has been cut at 4 1/4 inches by 11, scored, and we're going to fold it in the middle. That's at 5 1/2. And then I've got another score line at 6 1/2. So when this was on my Simply Scored, I scored it at 5 1/2 and 6 1/2. That gives me that 1 inch section there. And that is the section that we are actually going to glue closed to create our binding section of the card. So I've got that area folded and creased. And now I'm going to go ahead and put my glue into this area here so that we can seal it up and give it a moment to stick to itself before we continue. All right, so I like to stick it down like that. Give it a really good press. And I'll lay it flat and press it again. And then we'll give it a moment to settle. All right, so my designer series paper this time is cut 4 inches across by 4 1/4 high. And I have a piece of red cardstock, and this piece is cut the same dimensions. It's 4 inches across by 4 1/4 inches tall. All right, so there's those two. Then I have a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to show you something so that it's not confusing later. I actually was going to use this card before, and so I did some stamping on it, and then I decided to change the design. So I'm still using this piece of white cardstock, but that side is going to get glued down and no one will know it's there. So I didn't want to waste it. So this piece is trimmed down a little bit smaller than this piece. Okay. So this one is 3 3/4 inches across by 4 inches high or tall. All right. So those are those pieces. Then I have a piece of white that is a scrap. And then I took a piece of real red cardstock and I laid my die on it. Now this die was from, let me tell you the name of it. The package of the dies is out of reach, so let me just grab that for you. Here it is. It's called Stitched So Sweetly and has retired. But gosh, whenever you have just wonderful shaped dies like these, we hang on to them. So that's where this die came from, okay? You could choose any shape that's like a tag or a label. And basically what you're gonna see when we do our stamping is you just wanna pick out the words that you're gonna use and kind of figure out the size that you need this tag or label to go with your words. So that's what I did on this piece, and it was cut from a scrap of real red cardstock. All right. What we're going to do now that that has been glued. Oh, and then this little piece, this is actually the B side of this same paper, but I loved the red background with the jingle bells. This piece measures 3/4 inch by 4 inches, and it's the part we're going to start with. So I'm going to glue it down, and it's going to go right here in this channel here that we created, our bookbinding area. And if you've watched me do any bookbinding card before, you're familiar. Sometimes they look like this. Sometimes they're this way. Like you can do all kinds of different perspectives from it with this card. I am doing this vertical one for today. Okay. All right, then I'm going to take my other piece of card designer series paper, and it's going to get glued on here. Now I will make one mention. When I was cutting this piece, even though it was fairly random, I just knew what size I needed it. I did pay a little bit of attention to where the main print was, where these main cute reindeer are, so that I didn't end up with a whole piece with just parts of images. And so as I was cutting it down, I did pay a little bit of attention to that because I didn't want to, number one, end up covering completely the cute image. And I did want to find a place where my words are going to go. So as I put this together, you'll see what I'm talking about, but I did pay a little bit of attention to the design of the paper. All right, this is going to now get attached right down here in this bottom section of the scored card, like so. Okay, let's go ahead and get our words put together, and that way this part that I've been trying to explain will make sense, because this is going to go onto the front of the card. You can see that I'm probably going to put it somewhere in here. So you see, I can still see a lot of my cute deer without covering them up. All right, on this piece, I'm going to stamp, and I'm using Shaded Spruce ink. And the stamps that I'm using for this card, I actually pulled stamps from 2 different stamp sets. So let's show you those. This one is Retired, Peaceful Deer. So I'm using the words, and I'm going to use the trees, this little stamp here, for part. And then I'm also using Reindeer Fun, the little snowflake sparkle stamp. Okay, that's where I got my stamps from. All right, with Shaded Spruce and my word stamp, I'm going to get that stamped onto this white piece. And then this is going to get punched out. I have an ancient circle punch. This is a very old style of punch, but it's still working just beautifully. It's a 1 3/8. You can use whatever size is appropriate with your tag or label. And you can also grab a die if you don't have the right punch. All right, so I'm going to center my words. And my piece of paper is a little bit small, but I think I'll be able to do it. And punch that out. All right. Those words are going to get glued onto my red tag or label. I like how the circle looks in this very interesting shape. I think that looks really cool. All right, this is going to get some dimensionals put onto the back. So I will use my Take Your Pick tool just because it helps me grab them a little bit faster than trying to pick them off of the backing sheet with my nails. All right, so we've got this piece that's ready to go. It's going to go onto our card front, probably right there in just a moment. Let's bring in some ribbon. This is actually part of, when it was available, and I'm not sure that it's available right now, it was a 2-pack. So it was real red ribbon along with this burlap or tan color, but I thought it looked really good because it's kind of picking up the pecan pie color of my reindeer. So you only need about 4 inches of this. We're just going to tie a knot. And trim that down. I prefer to use my fabric scissors when I'm cutting this nice fabric ribbon, but I thought that my paper snips might do fine, and they did. Okay, to attach my little knot, I'm going to use a glue dot. And depending on what the card front looks like, depending on where you put your words, you would actually have options, because this could be really cute right there. I would like it in that spot. I'm going to go ahead and put it up here since I know that my words need to be up a little bit higher, but you can play with the positioning of where you want to put your knot. All right, so I'm taking my ribbon that I've tied a knot in, and I'm just going to press it down onto the glue dot while it's still on the roll, and then peel that off. And then I'll place my bow or my knot right here. Check if it's centered and get that into place. I really like the color with that little stitching. That's cute. All right, let's put this into place as well. And then all we need to do is our inside and a little bit of embellishing. All right, for my embellishments, I reached for some sequins, and there were a variety of choices, and so the ones that I landed on are the neutrals adhesive backed sequins. I originally was going to go with the gold, and after pulling these out, I realized that I really like this brown color, and I'm not going to be prone to be using a lot of brown probably as the holidays are coming up, and so I'm going to go ahead and use those brown ones, and I like how it looks good with the brown from my little reindeer. So I'm going to use 3 sequins. Even that bronzy color is kind of nice, but it clashes with the red maybe a little bit. All right, I'm going to use a couple of small ones, one large one. Let's do a couple of small, one large is what I said, right? One large, couple of small. There we have our cute, cute card front. All right, for the inside, we'll do a little bit of stamping. As I told you, I had this white piece of cardstock, and I had already stamped on it. It was going to go inside a similar card. And then I decided that I wanted to trim this down, have it go onto the red piece, and that be the panel on the inside, okay? So when we're done with this, I'm going to show you one without the red panel, and then you can decide which one you want to do. It is an extra step, and it's an extra piece of cardstock, but I really liked that pop of red when you open this. So that's what I decided. So we're going to do some stamping on this white piece with my shaded spruce and that little stamp that has 2 trees. I think what's going to look really good is to do the first image straight from the ink pad and then a second time without re-inking, so I get some dark and some light trees. And then I'll go to Pool Party and use that little snowflake or sparkle stamp from Reindeer Fun, and just put a few little sparkles above my trees. Easy stamping, quick. Okay, there's that back side. That's just going to get glued down and no one will know. All right, onto my red piece, and this is real red, which is the same color that's represented in the designer series paper. This can now go on the inside. I'm eyeballing all of my borders all the way around. Should be an equal size. And if when you go to put it down, it's not coming out with equal size borders, I would skimp on this one, because that's the one that you're not going to notice as much. Your eye is going to notice the left, the right, and the bottom much quicker. So those ones are the important ones. I'm going to close this, flip it over, give it a nice good press, and we can look at our completed card. It's got a nice layout, beautiful colors. I like the Pool Party mixed in with Christmas red and green. And then let me show you the other version, which is almost identical. All right, there's this one. I put the words in a different place based on the print of my paper and what I wanted to still be able to see. And then this one does not have the red background layer underneath the white. So you can see this way, which is just one step faster and easier, or this way adds that little extra pop of red. The two sizes of white cardstock will be a little bit different. So if you're just putting the white inside with no layer of red, then it's 4 inches by 4 1/4. If you are adding the layer, that's the size of the red piece, and your white piece you need to trim down to 3 3/4 inches by 4. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching the card tutorial today. I enjoy having you watch Simply Saturday, and I look forward to your comments. If you have any questions or additional comments that you'd like to make, please do open that description box, and it's a good way to communicate with me. And until next time, happy stamping.